15 teachers who took school punishments way too far. Part 1. If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video. 1. Learn to read, or else. Negative reinforcement is never a good route to take for training anyone or anything, but when 4th grade teacher Summer Larson decided to use this technique to help her students learn, she found herself facing some negative reinforcement of her own. In trying to get her students to reach their reading goals, she allowed those that passed to draw on the faces of those who hadn't as a means to convince them to work harder and learn more. She presented the lagging students with an ultimatum. After they didn't pass, they had the choice of skipping recess or allowing the students who did pass to draw on them. 6 of the 9 failing students didn't want to give up their recess and allowed their peers to draw on them. 2. The search for ibuprofen. We all get headaches from time to time, but for Savannah, reading getting a headache was the least of her problems when a fellow student ratted on her for having prescription-grade ibuprofen pills in the school. Ultimately, while this is the equivalent of 2 normal-sized Advils, this apparently required a strict search from school administrators. After not being satisfied from illegally searching her backpack, school authorities sent Savannah to the nurse's office, where they proceeded to strip search her person for the assumed offense. They made her remove her bra, and then checked under the elastic of her underwear. After learning of the incident later, Savannah's parents took the case to court to try and restore some sanity to the situation. 3. What's wrong with Matt Boner? When you start punishing students for their choice, albeit ridiculous from time to time, of haircuts, you're really splitting authoritative hairs. And that is exactly what happened to one 12-year-old middle schooler named Patrick Gonzalez in 2012. Patrick decided to get a portrait of his favorite NBA player Matt Boner etched into his head. This haircut was just too much for the school, and so they decided to suspend Patrick for his artistic hair choices. Despite having the haircut cleared by the school prior to getting it cut, Patrick was still not allowed to return until his head was buzzed clear of the likeness. Fortunately for Patrick, when the Spurs heard of the Matt Boner hairdo, they gave him free tickets to the playoffs as consolation. 4. Dress code violator sent home by police. Being a student is never easy, and it only gets harder when you're a student whose family lacks the funds to help you meet certain social requirements. This fact was made all too clear for a particular 5-year-old student who wasn't wearing the right collar shoes. The child was taken out of class and brought home by the police. The child's parents couldn't put together the cash for black shoes that fit the dress code, and so his mother took a pair of red and white shoes and painted them black instead. Some of the ink likely came off, revealing the ruse, and due to the overwhelming severity of this collar crime, the boy was forced to be traumatized in front of his classmates by being extracted by the cops and taken home. 5. Tardiness will get you in jail. Diane Tran was an honors student working as a full-time student with 2 part-time jobs on the side to support her family. And as it turns out, being an overachiever is a crime in this part of Texas, because due to her insane schedule to help her family and achieve for herself, Diane missed 11 days of school in a 6-month period. State law requires that there be no more than 10 unexcused absences in that time, and for her punishment Diane was charged with a misdemeanor and jailed for 24 hours. Later, a judge did in fact drop the charges, and no word yet on what happened when she missed work while spending time behind bars. 6. Dog cones are the new dunce caps. One teacher in Florida, why this crap always happen in Florida and Texas, we may never know, decided that the best way to handle her unruly class and discipline the students that weren't towing the line was to make them wear dog cones around their neck. While these cones are used for keeping dogs from chewing and licking away their stitches after a surgery, in this case, they were used to make her students feel less than human. It's still not clear how this teacher thought she would get away with this kind of activity in the age of camera phones, because the students in the class started immediately taking photos of each other in the new age dunce caps and posting them to their social media accounts. When the parents in the school found out about this new take on an old form of punishment, the teacher was suspended without pay. 7. Child eating monster closet. Remember when you were young enough to believe that there might actually be a monster in your closet or under the bed? Well, some pre-kindergarten teachers in Houston, Texas, decided to capitalize on this fear and exploit a janitor's closet, where they placed some unruly 4-year-olds, as if that's really a thing, and tell them that monsters were going to eat them. They then barricaded the door with their feet so, when the kids would try and escape, they could really drive the point home that they were in charge. One boy reportedly cried so hard he vomited. Fortunately, these teachers were let go, but not before completely traumatizing an untold number of students. 8. Stop playing with your hair. Getting on the nerves of the teacher can be a surefire ticket to the principal's office, or sometimes even home. Unfortunately for 7-year-old Lamia Kamen, when she wouldn't stop playing with her braids in class, instead of being told to stop or being sent away, she was called to the front of the class. What happened next is virtually every girl's nightmare. Her teacher took a pair of scissors and snipped off one of Lamia's braids. Apparently this was a fitting punishment for a fidgety child. Later, Lamia's mother confronted the teacher about the incident and was given a lackadaisical middling apology for the act. Lamia was eventually moved to a different classroom, and the teacher was suspended without pay.